Hello and welcome to Preschool Storytime. I'm Miss Claire from the Chattanooga Public Library. Preschool Storytime is for children ages 3 to 5, but everyone is welcome here. Today we have stories about bedtime. Anybody have trouble going to sleep? Our first character does. Ava can't sleep without sheep. And this is by Susanna Leonard Hill, illustrated by Mike Wonutka, and it's published by Walker and Company. Ava had a hard time falling asleep. Her mind was always so busy. Try counting sheep, suggested her mother. So she did. You see, she had lots of things on her mind. One sheep jumping over the fence, two sheep jumping over the fence, three sheep jumping over the fence. But her mind was full of ideas and questions, thoughts of today and plans for tomorrow. Night after night, the sheep had to jump the fence many times. Can we please stop? Asked the sheep. We're exhausted. No, I need you to keep jumping, said Ava. In that case, said the sheep, we quit. You can't quit, said Ava. How will I get to sleep? Don't worry. We'll find a replacement, they promised. Horses seemed like the best choice, but they were so beautiful that Ava made the fence higher and wider to see how well they could jump. Horses are too much fun, said the sheep. We need somebody less pretty. Send in the chickens. The chickens tried to get over the fence. They wanted to get over the fence. Ava laughed and laughed, but she did not go to sleep. We need somebody less ridiculous, said the sheep. Pigs? The pigs were not in any hurry. One pig over the fence, said Ava. Then she had to wait while the others stopped to snack. Pigs are too slow, decided the sheep. The cows were a complete disaster. What happened to the fence? Uh-oh. This was harder than the sheep thought, but they were just getting started. Look at all those animals in line. The penguins looked at the fence, then they looked at themselves. We need a plan, they said. Next, said the sheep. The hippos waddled forward. This could take a while, said one sheep. The animals grew impatient. Is it our turn? Asked the herd of buffalo. No, we're next, shouted the flamingos, the armadillos, and the beavers. We'll see about that, roared the buffalo. The stampede began as the buffalo charged the fence. Dust rose in clouds. Splinters flew everywhere. It was chaos. Stop, said Ava. I'll never get to sleep like this. Wow, said the sheep. Who knew we'd be so hard to replace? I knew, Ava replied. You always show up for work. You line up nicely and jump calmly. You're fluffy and peaceful and perfect. Well, said one sheep, it's nice to be appreciated. Please, will you stay? Begged Ava. I need you to help me fall asleep. Don't worry, said the sheep. You can count on us. And so she did. Can't sleep without sheep. Are you ready for some jumping on the bed? Bouncing on the bed, excuse me. Instead, we have bunnies. And how many do we have, do you think? I think we have 5. 1, 2, 3. Ooh, that one's jumping high. And one more. There's our number 5. Can you do that with me? We're going to do 5 little bunnies. Should we do bouncing or jumping? I think we should do bouncing. See if I can remember it, though. And we're going to have Mama's going to call the doctor, and the doctor's going to say, no more bunnies bouncing on the bed. All right. 5 little bunnies bouncing on the bed. Mama called the doctor. One fell off and bumped his head. Mama called the doctor, and the doctor said, no more bunnies bouncing on the bed. So what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 little bunnies bouncing on the bed. One fell off and bumped her head. Mama called the doctor, and the doctor said, no more bunnies bouncing on the bed. We have 3 little bunnies bouncing on the bed. One fell off and bumped his head. Mama called the doctor, and the doctor said, no more bunnies bouncing on the bed. We have 2 little bunnies bouncing on the bed. One fell off and bumped her head. Mama called the doctor, and the doctor said, no more bunnies bouncing on the bed. One more. 1 little bunny bouncing on the bed. She fell off and bumped her head. Mama called the doctor, and the doctor said, no more bunnies bouncing on the bed. And now we have to put all of our bunnies to bed, don't we? So the bunnies all went to sleep. I don't know if we can squeeze them all in here, but we'll try. Mama says, thank goodness. It all went to bed, and now I can go to bed too. Good night. And that's our bunnies bouncing on the bed. Silly bunnies. Our next story is from the Very Hungry Caterpillar. It is Sleep Tight with the Very Hungry Caterpillar. It's a Lift the Flap book, and it's published by the World of Eric Carle. The sun is turning from gold to red. Who is that wandering home to bed? Sleep tight, Cricket. What do we have next? A tree stands tall in a darkening sky. Who can you see keeping watch up high? What do you think's in the tree? Miss Clara's find the little. There it is. Good night, owls. On the silvery river, there's hardly a sound. But who is that quacking and bobbing around? Who quacks? Quack, quack, quack. Who do you think it is? Yes, nighty-night, ducklings. And Mama Duck, too. Everyone is fast asleep on the farm. Who can you see cuddled up in the barn? Who do you think lives in the barn? You see? Sweet dreams. Horse, cow, sheep, pig, and rooster. Can you see them all? See if I can hold up. It's kind of hard to hold up the. There's our horse, our cow, our sheep, our pig, and our rooster. Who else do we have? Oh, who is curled up in a tiny green ball? A caterpillar. Who is snug as a bug. Good night to all. This is one of our newer books, Sleep Tight with the Very Hungry Caterpillar. I think we might do a rhyming we will go if I don't drop them on the floor, which I just did. Do you remember? We are going to sing a rhyming we will go, a rhyming we will go. We're going to catch an animal like a sheep, and he will rhyme with Jeep. Whoops. We have a goat and a boat, a pig, silly pig, and a wig, and we have a duck, which I dropped, a duck, and a truck. So here we go. I'm going to take these off, and then we'll put them back up with their correct counterparts. A rhyming we will go, a rhyming we will go. We'll catch a sheep and put him on a jeep, and then we'll let him go. A rhyming we will go, a rhyming we will go. Remember who rhymes with boat? We'll catch a goat and put him on a boat, and then we'll let him go. A rhyming we will go, a rhyming we will go. Remember who rhymes with wig? Pig. We'll catch a pig. Oh, we have to give him a wig. It's kind of silly. And give him a wig, and then we'll let him go. A rhyming we will go, a rhyming we will go. We'll catch a duck and put him in a truck, and then we'll let him go. A rhyming we will go, a rhyming we will go. It's all pretend, and in the end we always let them go. We have our sheep and jeep, goat and boat, pig and wig, duck and truck. Those are our rhymes for this week. I hope you guessed along with me. Our next book, oh, Tuck Me In. Anybody need to be tucked in? This is by Dean Hacohen and Sherry Scharschmidt, and it's a turn the page, tuck baby in. We can do that, can't we? And it is published by Candlewick Press. It's time for bed. Who needs to be tucked in? You? I don't need to be tucked in yet. I do. Who's that? Yeah, who should be tucked in? Good night, baby pig. Tucked the pig. Who else needs to be tucked in? Any guesses? I do. Is it a baby zebra? Oh, good night, baby zebra. Who else needs to be tucked in? We got, I do. Shall we tuck in baby elephant? Yes. Oh, good night, baby elephant. Who else needs to be tucked in? Who's that? I do. Think, do you like this blanket? Good night, baby alligator. Who else needs to be tucked in? Who's this? I do. Good night, baby moose. Who else needs to be tucked in? I do. Do you know what that is? The guess is? Good night, baby hedgehog. Who else needs to be tucked in? Got a lot of animals here, don't we? I do. Do you know who that is? Good night, baby peacock. Does anyone else need to be tucked in? Do you? Good night, you. And that's Tuck Me In. All right, we have another flannel story, and this is from a book called Good Night, Good Night. And we know good night because we're seeing bedtime stories, but this is our good night. Once there was a good knight who kept watch over the kingdom. My little pieces here. One night, the good knight heard a very loud, very large roar. Can you roar? Roar. What was that? But the brave knight, being a brave knight, ran toward the sound and came upon, who's that? A very small dragon. What's that? Said the good knight, yielding his sword. Methinks it is a dragon. But the very small dragon said, oh, good, you've come. Could you get me a drink of water and tuck me into bed? Well, that's an odd request, but the good knight, being a good knight, got the baby dragon, the small dragon, a drink of water and then took him and tucked him into bed. There's his little bed. Put a drink of water up there. And the good knight returned to the castle. And he was on watch for about 5 minutes when he heard another very large, very loud roar. Can you roar for me? Roar. And he went in the direction of that roar, and he came across a medium-sized dragon. He says, "What's this?" Yielding his sword. "Methinks it is a dragon." The medium dragon said, "Thank goodness you've come. Could you read me a story and tuck me into bed?" What do you think? Do you think the good knight did that? He sure did. So I think he tucked him into bed first and then read a story to both of them. And the story is Good Night, Good Night. He read them a story and tucked him into bed and went back to the castle. And he wasn't on watch for more than 5 minutes before, you guessed it, he heard another very large, very loud roar. Roar. Can you roar for me? Oh, good job. And he ran towards the roar and he said, "What is this?" "Methinks it is a dragon." And the large-sized dragon said, "Oh, good, you've come. Could you tuck me into bed and sing me a song?" So the dragon said, "Of course. Here is our tuck him into bed. What song should we sing?" "Lullaby and good night." And he said, "Good night, sleep tight." And he went back to the castle. And he was standing watch, and he heard 3 very large, very loud roars. Can you roar for me? Roar, roar, roar. And he thought, what? I've tucked them into bed. I gave them water. I read them a story. I sang a song. What more could they want? So he went back. What is it? Do you want another drink of water? No, said the small dragon. Do you want another story? No, said the medium-sized dragon. Another song? No, said the large dragon. Well, what do you want? Can you guess? We want a kiss goodnight. And they raised their little cheeks. And the good knight thought, well, this is an odd request. But being the good knight, he kissed each cheek and said, "Good night, sleep tight." And with that, all 3 dragons fell asleep. How do you think a dragon would snore? And the knight went back to the castle to stand guard. Should we do? I have one short story we could do. This is good. Yawn. Do you yawn? You cover your mouth when you yawn. That's always a good idea. This is Yawn by Sally Symes with pictures by Nick Sherratt, and it is published by Candlewick Press. And this is a yawn that gets passed along. Sean gave a yawn while sitting on his mat. Guess who he gave it to? A scruffy, fluffy cat. That's a big yawn, isn't it? As Cat gave a yawn as lazily she purred. Guess who she gave it to? A cheeping, chirping bird gave a yawn and pecked seed from a dish. Guess who he gave it to? A splishy, splashy fish gave a yawn while drifting in his bowl. Guess who he gave it to? A biggy, diggy mole gave a yawn, then rested from her dig. Guess who she gave it to? A snorty, snorty pig. You guessed it. Pig gave a yawn and dreamed of snacks and tea. Guess who he gave it to? A fuzzy, buzzy bee gave a yawn. Worn out from making honey, guess who she gave it to? A floppy, floppy bunny, gave a yawn, stretched out on his belly. Guess who he gave it to? An elephant named Nellie, gave a yawn. And this is what she said. It's time to put our jammies on and go upstairs to bed. And that is yawn. Sometimes yawns are contagious, aren't they? Thank you so much for sharing preschool story time with me. I've had a great time with you, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. Bye-bye. Have a great week.